everyone. My name is Tori Marrera, and I'm the Executive Director of the Enid Symphony Orchestra. I have the privilege today of interviewing our very own Artistic Director, Douglas Newell. Doug, welcome to the show today. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I always love to be invited.
Yes, it's lovely to have you today. So we're going to talk about our upcoming Harvest Wine series, which opens up with a little bit of a different kind of performance.
It's an informance.
Yes.
Yes.
An informational performance. Yes. So before we begin, I'd like to thank Edward Jones for sponsoring our Harvest Wine series. I'd also like to thank Park Avenue Thrift and the Oklahoma Arts Council with the assistance from the National Endowment for the Arts for their continuous support. So, our first performance of the Harvest Wine series, Telling Tales and Naming Names, 40 Years of Backstage Stories with Doug Newell. So Doug, what can we expect at this first Harvest Wine concert?
You know, I don't know. I'm sort of an impromptu person, and whatever story comes to mind, that's probably what I'm going to tell. But let me preface this whole thing by saying this is a fundraiser for the symphony. It's more comedy than drama. There's a little bit of drama involved in it, too. But I have to put the disclaimer. I have the absolute utmost respect for anyone who can master an instrument, master singing, play in an orchestra, appears as soloist with an orchestra. The people I've had the opportunity to work with over the years have been absolutely incredible. That said, everybody, my Hungarian teacher years ago said, well, Doggy, he said, symphony conductor is like taxi cab driver. You take your money, your constituent money, and you turn your back to do your work on. So, yeah, that's what you do. You walk out and smile, and you turn around and you start the music with the orchestra, and there's so much eye contact, and everybody in that orchestra as you're going along, I mean, the audience just thinks, oh, this is just beautiful, this is just marvelous. But we know. And the looks that go among players and back and forth to the conductor, we know. I will tell you one secret of being a conductor. The one time you allow yourself to stand there and think, this is incredible, this is sounding absolutely wonderful, something bad's about to happen. Because you lost your concentration, and you can't do that. That's the fun. So we're going to talk about not the facade of what everybody sees when they come in and sit down, the lights go down, the music begins, and everything sounds wonderful. We're going to talk about what happens in the few moments, hours, or days before a concert that gives many people ulcers or heart conditions or raises their blood sugar level or something of that nature, because you realize you work for a year to come present about an hour's worth of music, maybe with an intermission, maybe not. And that's what people see. And that's what people think is that, oh, wow, that's an easy job. The guy only works 6 Saturday nights a year. Well, it's like I told my children when they were little, I really don't even like music. I'm just relatively good at it. And for no more work, the money's pretty good.
That's one way to phrase it.
That's one way to phrase it. It's a complete lie. Because my oldest daughter, who was probably about 8 or 9 then, looked at me and said, but Daddy, you work all the time. You get up and you study in the middle of the night and all this stuff. So I said, yeah, that's kind of fun. But I've had fun with a lot of interesting guest artists. Here's another thing. You get a guest artist comes in, they may be from Italy, they may be from New York, LA, whatever, Taiwan, they come in and play with the symphony. You meet them less than 24 hours before they perform, and you have one rehearsal and one chance to get it right. So things don't always go right. And you never know who you're bringing into the community.
Right. Right.
Segue me into this next story.
Yeah. So I do just have to ask, will you actually be naming names, or will this be anonymous?
I haven't decided. There are a few people in town I've told I'm not going to use their names, but we're just going to leave it at that right now.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, so we'll find out next Tuesday.
You will find out on the spot because it's harvest wine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any. I don't need it to start telling stories.
Right, exactly. And I do just want to let everybody know, if you have a ticket to any of our Harvest Wine concerts, or the subscription ticket for all of them, you get a complimentary glass of red or white wine to enjoy at the show.
You do.
Mm-hmm. Which adds to the enjoyment factor
There
a little
you
bit,
go.
I'd like to think. So
Tell a tale.
can you give us maybe like a little bit of insight, or maybe tell us one of the tales that you're going to tell on Tuesday?
Well, there was the Italian shoplifter that I brought into town as the guest of the symphony. Now, that's at least what I had the impression for a little while, because we brought this very lovely young person who had won a very famous international competition as a pianist, and she came and she stayed in our home. And actually she did come early. She was in the United States for several months, and so she went from place to place and stayed. She stayed about a week in our home before the concert, and on the Friday morning before the concert, we're having breakfast, and she says, "Douglas, I would like to buy a purse." And I said, "Well, you want to go to the mall and buy a purse, don't you, a handbag?" And she said, "Yes, a purse." I said, "Okay." So I said, "I tell you what, I've got some things to do this morning. We'll have lunch and I'll take you to the mall." So after lunch, I took her to Oakwood Mall and dropped her off at Dillard's, walked in with her and said, "Now look, I have to go pick up my son at Emerson Junior High. I'll be back here at 2:30 to pick you up. You meet me in this spot." So I leave and I come back at about 2:25, and I stand there and I stand there and I stand there. And I thought, well, if I walk around in a circle looking for her, we're never going to meet up. And if I call her, that's an international call. Cell service was different back then. Mm-hmm. And so I just stood there a minute longer, and all of a sudden I hear over the intercom, "Would Douglas Newell please come to Ladies Fashion Sportswear?"
Oh, goodness, like what they do with children at the grocery store.
So it's like there's a lost child in the mall or something like this. So I go to Ladies Fashion Sportswear, which of course, Luana and the girls have always shopped there. And so we know everybody that works there at that point. And I walk around, and these two ladies say, "Look, there's a lady in the dressing room who has a foreign accent, and she has thousands of dollars worth of clothes back there. But she says she works for you." And I said, "Oh." And about this time, this little Italian head pops out of the dressing room area and says, "Douglas, come back here and look at this. I think I look too big in these." And I said, "No, that's not how it works. You go back in there and get fixed and come out here. I'll wait out here." And they said, "Well," she said she wanted an opinion, and she wanted a man's opinion. She worked for Douglas Newell, and she wanted his opinion of what she looked like. So she comes out, and I said, "That looks great," And they said, "Is she going to buy all these clothes?" And I said, I don't know. "Well, does she really work for you?" And from there, it got interesting. Mm-hmm. Because I had to explain some things. Oh, they thought she was going to, maybe take a bunch of clothes and leave. Mm-hmm. I thought, here I am, my God, I've hired an Italian shoplifter to come in to play with the symphony. I don't have the cash to get her out of jail today. What are we going to do tomorrow? How are we going to explain this to the audience? Mm-hmm. So all of these things go into what turned out to be one of the most incredible performances I think the orchestra's ever given. Nobody knew. Mm-hmm. I will say that she came we started the rehearsal, and I forget, it's the Rachmaninoff Third Piano Concerto or something. And before rehearsal, she says, "I always want to conduct." I said, "Okay." So we go get ready to start. And I'm on the podium, and I said, "Wait a minute. Why don't you come over here and conduct? I'll sit down and play." And she says, "Okay." Well, if you don't know that particular piece of music, you don't know that actually it could be played, the first 20 measures could be played with 2 fingers. But then it gets complex. So she raises her hand and says, "I don't know what to do." I said, "Well, just do something, they'll play." So the concertmaster starts them, time hours, and it's the entrance to the piano, and I just start playing it. This is a very easy entrance, and we get to the point where it becomes very difficult. And then we had another discussion, but nonetheless, I ended up conducting, she ended up playing.
And I do just got to know, did she buy the clothes?
Actually, I think she spent about 5. But anyhow.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, you see, we support the local economy when we bring in out-of-town guest artists.
Exactly. It increases tourism too. International tourism.
And until it closed its doors, Dillard had an autograph program by her in the dressing room of ladies' fashion sportswear.
Wonderful. Now she's become an Enid icon.
I think so.
Wonderful, wonderful. So that's just one of the many stories that you'll get a chance to hear this upcoming Tuesday.
Oh, we're going to talk about little boys baptizing cats. Well, you've all been to revival. You obviously leave and want everybody and everything you know to, take the uptown train with you. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the oddities of certain guest artists, what they want. We're going to talk about guest artists who are out of their routine. We're going to talk about orchestra members. Well, things happen. Things just happen, So it's going to be a lot of fun. Think of it as a TED Talk without TED, because it's not going to be that kind of thing. It's just going to be a conversation. I'm going to let you ask the leading questions. We might even have an audience.
Yes.
Because I get a lot of questions like, "How many notes do you know?"
And you're like, "I don't know how to answer that."
No, I know all of them, at least in the piano range. And all the music's the very same. It's just the notes are in a different order.
Exactly.
You have to look at it like that, and then your job isn't so difficult.
Right. Music explained.
There you go.
Why go to college for music?
Well,
that's a different story.
That's a totally different story. Please go to college.
So we'll be having a conversation, delving into backstage stories and just things that have happened, funny, dramatic, sort of like an expose of everything that's gone on. What else will be happening at this interview? There are rumors of dressing up, rumors of violin. Will you be playing your violin?
Go back to the dressing up thing. I don't know what you're talking about.
It has to do with the mural.
What are you giving it away?
Oh, we'll find out. That's meant to be top secret. Let's put a pin in that.
I think we should. And let's just say the violin will be on stage, as will a piano. And so we'll just see what happens. Some of the things you can only explain with a musical example.
Right.
So there will be a little bit of that.
And we'll have others come up to the stage too and demonstrate.
We might. We might ask people from the audience to come up and perform for us. Who knows?
Yes.
It's going to be one loosely scripted wild hour of fun at Harvest Wine.
Wonderful, wonderful. So that's what we can expect at the very first performance. We do have 3 more after that on Tuesday nights. Can you tell us a little bit about what we can expect for
Well, the
those?
second performance features our principal players in the string sections of the orchestra. They form a string quartet called the Juniper String Quartet, and they'll be here to give the program on the second Harvest Wine. Let's see, the first is the 8th or the 9th?
The first is the 8th. And the second one is the 15th.
All right. Well, on that one, the Juniper String Quartet. And in the third Tuesday night that we perform will be Patrick Hobbs and Kathy Venable, not related to Brent Venables. He's plural. She's singular. But she's singer, and Pat's a wonderful pianist. They reside in Tulsa, perform all over the world. They're going to do a cabaret night program. And then the last night, we're not going to call it, it's not Phantom of the Opera. It's a night at the opera with Eduardo Morera playing the piano. And actually he's going to play transcriptions of the most beautiful opera melodies, but transcriptions for solo piano by some of the great composers of all time. So extremely talented pianist. I think there's a lot of diversity in this program.
Yes, it'll definitely be very, very exciting lineup for this month. And I think it's a fantastic way of opening our silver season this year, the 25th anniversary of being in the hall.
There you go.
So how can we get tickets to the Harvest Wine?
Well, you can get them at the door, or you can look on the bottom of your screen and see that magic telephone number, 237-9646. If we're not there, just leave a message, or you can log on to enidsymphony.org and reserve a seat for Harvest Wine. I will say this, that it's Tuesday night in the summer. It's at 7 o'clock.
It's 7. Our usual concerts are at 7:30, but these are at 7. It's a little bit earlier in the summer.
And we start wine service at 6:30?
Correct.
So there's wine service at 6:30. First glass is on the house. You come and just spend some time at our expense. It's our air conditioning that'll be running over time.
Yes.
Turn yours up, come to the hall, enjoy the programs.
Yes. And also, we have an artist exhibition on the 5th floor of our building, the Jane Champlin Art Gallery, featuring the works of Oklahoma City-based artist Sherry Gruber. She'll be there. She has such a unique, eclectic, very colorful style that I think is absolutely perfect for the eclectic, colorful lineup we'll have.
Absolutely, you can come in and enjoy that. Have a glass of wine, go up to the 5th floor, come back down to the 4th, sit close to the stage. You don't want to miss any of the sight gags.
Exactly, exactly. So before we wrap up for today, I'd love to maybe just spend a little bit of time talking about our very first concerts of the subscription series, Flipside, the Patti Page Story.
Totally different. It's a musical. It's about a 90-minute musical. It's played without intermission. And of course, Cash Bar opens an hour before the concert. And then Flipside is the story of Patti Page and her career. If you don't know who she is, she's probably, she's Tulsa area based. She was really one of the first great names from Oklahoma as a singer. It's a cross between some jazz, country style. Later in her career, she went strictly to country. But if you have ever heard the original recordings of Tennessee Waltz or How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? That's Patti Page. Go by Enid SPCA, Adopt a Dog, Come and Tell Us, and we'll give you a free glass of wine when you come into Harvest Wine. We'd love to do that. But Patti is just a marvelous Oklahoma legend. All of the music in the musical are songs that Patti made famous. It's her music. It's not the typical overture and prelude and entr'acte and all that. It's just Patti Page music for 90 minutes. And there are actually 2 ladies that play Patti, the younger Patti and then the senior Patti. And it was written by Greg White, great run off Broadway, and we're very excited to bring it here. It's kind of the musical theater event of the year in Enid. I think you'll enjoy attending. Big step for us to bring this program.
Oh, yes. What a perfect way to open up this exciting season.
Then we we'll just go through the first half of the season. Then we go to October, and we have Matt Denman coming in to play the Joaquin Rodrigo's Concierto de Aranjuez, Spanish guitar concerto, and the orchestra will play a Latin night of music. Some you'll know, some you may not know, but it all will sound familiar to you. Then in November, Thanksgiving weekend, we really do what most people believe kicks off the Christmas season with a performance of Handel's Messiah. We will be soon announcing chorus schedule. We have a community choir. We call it the Enid Symphonic Choir. We're putting the band back together,
yes,
the choir back together, and we're going to perform Messiah here. We also are hoping to take it on the road to a couple of places. So that will take care of the first half of our season.
Wonderful, wonderful. And more information definitely to come.
Sure.
In the coming months.
Go to our website, enidsymphony.org. You can learn a lot.
Yes. And since we're talking about the website and purchasing tickets, we are offering a flash sale for our Flipside Patty Page tickets now through end of business day, Friday, August 4th. You can go online to enidsymphony.org or call our office at 580-237-9646. And we're offering these discount tickets for $40 and student tickets for $25. Single tickets for all of our concerts are available on our website, but if you really want to see the show, definitely act now, reserve your seats, that discounted price. It's a great date night. It's a great family day. We actually are doing 2 shows of Patty Page. Our usual Saturday night concert, which will correlate with Cherokee Strip Days, and we're doing a Sunday matinee show. So 2 chances to see this fantastic musical.
Absolutely. I want to circle back to one thing.
Yes.
That cat baptism, I just want everybody to understand it didn't go well.
Yes, I can imagine. I don't think cats really like water.
Well, I was only 5. I didn't know.
And we'll hear more about that next Tuesday. All right, well, excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Doug. And for all of our viewers, definitely visit our website, enidsymphony.org. Give us a call, 580-237-9646. Follow our Facebook page at Enid Symphony Orchestra. We've got a lot of exciting updates and a lot of exciting things coming up. So thank you so much for joining me today, Doug, and thank you to all of our viewers for joining us today as well. And I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day.